And, of course, I love the work that I was involved with Teddy Kennedy and Jesse Helms and Bono in an effort to fight poverty. You know, it's a great story. I got a call from the Terminator. Arnold said, you need to meet this man. He's out there. He's meeting with every big official all over the world. He's got a program to do debt relief in Africa. And I'd always felt that foreign aid was a little bit of corporate welfare, and I always thought it could be applied well so that if we actually did immunize somebody or vaccinate them in another part of the world, when extremists were shouting and criticizing America, the woman there would stand up and say, you may not like them, but they vaccinated my kid. See, I like that idea. So I started to take Bono. Arnold said, got to meet this guy. I said, what's his name? He said, you never heard of him. I said, what's his name, Arnold? He says, you never heard of him. So what's his name? He says, his name is Bono. I said, Arnold, I'm not an Austrian bricklayer. I know who Bono is. So Bono and I sat down, and he talked about his faith. The song, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, is not about something he misplaced. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I said to Bono says, you're not getting me in to see enough congressmen and senators. I said, this was in the early days. I said, Bono, look, you're wearing a black leather suit, Prada shoes, and those crazy sunglasses. They don't want to be seen with you. He said, John, the guys in my band, they don't want me to be seen with you. Well, we won. And just a couple years ago, my wife and I went to Rwanda at the request of Bono. Begun to see some miracles of reconciliation. It worked. You know, we now need unanimous bipartisan support to fight the scourge in this country and in this state of prescription drug addiction in Ohio. We are engaging the enemy. We have already worked to provide $400,000 to Scioto County for treatment and rehab programs to help get people back to work. We're seeking additional federal matching dollars to fight the scourge of this drug addiction across our state. We have created a coalition of government community leaders who have already demonstrated incredible teamwork in implementing a plan to free Ohioans who are trapped in homelessness and despair. And we got Terry Johnson and Dave Burke and Danny Buff over here in the House with legislation, and we got Jimmy Stewart ready to take it and move it in the Senate. I want to tell you, folks, Barbara Howard, I'm going to have her stand in a second. In 2009, her daughter died from an overdose of prescription drugs. She's a founding member of Solace. Now, I met these ladies right before I was inaugurated. I had been to Scioto County. I had heard about this drug addiction problem as I campaigned in southern Ohio, most particularly. And these ladies stood there, about a dozen of them, maybe 15 of them, in these green shirts. Every one of them buried somebody because of this addiction. It's something that a lot of people don't understand. They don't even know that it's out there. But it is as significant and dangerous as heroin addiction in this country and in this state. Ed Hughes, he's in the counseling center down there in Scioto County. Beth Dunlop, who's here today, also, she's recovering. Can you imagine recovering from an addiction? None of us understand that monster. She's 2 years out. She's going to go work in a counseling center. I have said, I'm going to say it again, the devil had been running Scioto County. And you know what? These people were alone. They were vulnerable. At times they felt hopeless. Guess what? The cavalry has arrived, and you will not stand alone, and this legislature will not let you stand alone. Please recognize Ed Hughes, Beth Dunlop, and Barbara Howard. Let me tell you, I found out the other day there was like $33 million sitting on the sidelines we had never applied for. So we got together. We got the Adams boards on the phone. We got the rehabilitative services. We got Orman Hall, all of whom who worked in Fairfield County trying to reduce the recidivism rate for these folks. They're in our jails. They wander the streets. We find them sometimes breaking into our homes. We called the Adams Board. They got together in 24 hours. They said, let's just get this done before the money disappears. And I'm very hopeful because of the match that we will get from the federal government, we can launch this war across the state with an additional $33 million. Well, folks, we have our challenges, but we've got some great assets. And I want to tell you just about some of them. Now, I'm going to leave, it's like picking a queen in a beauty pageant. You always leave somebody out, okay? And I'm not intending to, and there's a lot I won't mention here, but it isn't because I wanted to exclude them. Let's talk about Toledo. Toledo's been sliding. You go there. You see a lot of people, but a lot of buildings, but not a lot of people walking around in the morning. Oh, it's a great town. It created First Solar. First Solar was one of the most rapidly rising companies on the New York Stock Exchange. They want a photovoltaic center up in Toledo. We're thinking about it. We'd love to do that. We've got the Andersons. Go to the Andersons, everybody's at home. The specialty manufacturing, Owens, Illinois. So many of the manufacturing in Toledo is forward-looking. The University of Toledo and their great president, who went with me up to Detroit to meet with the Big Three, and of course, the Jeep plant, and then North Baltimore. I sent Jerry Ray to North Baltimore to meet with the officials up there to figure out how we can improve the infrastructure so that when the train gets there, we can move goods and products out of North Baltimore. Do you know what the potential is for distribution centers in that area? In CSX and Norfolk Southern, thank God they are in Ohio and they are committed to us. And we are not going to waste transportation money on silly little pork barrel projects. We are going to spend the money where it makes a difference. Special hands off to Randy Gardner. He was in the legislature when Moby Dick was a minnow. And also a special thank you to one of the, I think Mark Wagner is just one of the smartest guys there is. And thanks for being my friend, Mark, through this time. In Akron, Mary, in Akron, Goodyear, First Energy, Kent State University, the University of Akron, which specializes in polymer research and development. You see, we need to broadcast that to the world. This is advanced materials. People don't know we have this. Well, the president of Kent State and the president of the University of Akron and a number of the CEOs we met with a week ago are putting a game plan together to make sure that the world knows. In Canton, the Timken Company, been there, I think, 1,000 years. Republic Engineered Products, Keenan Advantage, the ability of a logistics industry working out of Canton and the great Stark State. That is some operation up there, training people for jobs that exist and jobs that will come. Youngstown. I went to Lordstown. We cannot let Lordstown fail. It is the center of that valley. We've got to make sure that we work closely with the auto officials, and we must do what we have to do to make sure that that plant is up to date. And while we have the crews, I always think in the future, what do we get next? In Lordstown, the union and the management has worked well together. Jim Graham, the head of the UAW, don't tell him I mentioned his name, he'll pass out. Jim Graham's running for mayor somewhere. He said, if I get elected, I told him the first guy I'm going to meet with is you. I said, what happened? He said, they passed out. Lordstown, the steel plant, Delphi, and Youngstown State. Talk about homelessness and poverty. By the way, we're helping Youngstown now, our great highway patrol, our great security people working to try to settle things down in Youngstown after that terrible shooting. We lost a leader in Youngstown that night. He's got a great mom. I talked to his mom about a day or so after the killing. I had met his mother, and I called her up, Mrs. Hill, and she said to me, I'm praying for the parents of the people that shot my son. That's the power of the Lord. We will not let that violence obscure the great legacy of Youngstown State. It is a wonderful school, and its best days are clearly ahead, and we will do everything, won't we, legislature, to make sure that Youngstown State is as solid and as great as it can be. Cleveland. I always like to say, you got the Cleveland Clinic, University Hospital, and Case Western Reserve. If you can't score a touchdown with that, think about that. We were with the Chinese the other day, and I told them, I said, you need to get to know people at the Cleveland Clinic. Because rulers from all over the world, when they have a heart problem or an eye problem, where do they go? They go to the clinic. It's a jewel, but so is University Hospital. With the new Utica Center, where they're going to do surgery, non-invasive breakthrough surgery. Y'all ought to go. It's really cool to see. Big rooms, because big rooms are needed in order to project the power to do the non-invasive surgery. Oh, we're seeing the future when we go there. Barbara Snyder at Case Western Reserve. She's a real winner. She was trained by Ohio's greatest politician, Gordon Gee. Okay? We've got Cleveland State and American Greetings and Sherwin-Williams. My wife and I went to Mexico. We're in a one-horse town, a half-a-horse town in Mexico, and there's a Sherwin-Williams store. Oh, it's terrific. And Parker Hannafin, we don't know about them. You've got to go meet them. They're global, and they are incredible in what they're doing. And I'm begging them to bring some jobs back here to Ohio or expand what they have. Tell us what we need to do. And, hey, how about Lake Erie? I mean, if there has ever been a more underutilized asset, an undersold asset in the history of our state, it's Lake Erie. It is the crown jewel of the state of Ohio, and we need to promote it. We need to sell it, and people from around this country will go there. And we need to develop it and take advantage of all the things that it offers. Am I right, Patton? Absolutely. And just a word, I want to salute Tom Patton for the service of his son. 1 year ago, in the line of duty, Tom Patton's son lost his life. I think he's moved forward, don't you think? He's moved forward. God bless you, Tom Patton, and God bless your family. Well, here in Columbus, Cardinal Health, American Electric Power, Nationwide Insurance. They're always on your side. We're working closely with the insurance industry in this state, aren't we, David Goodman? Because we used to be a hub of it. Can happen again. If we think outside the box, go to Illinois. Man, they just busted the budget and raised taxes through the sky. We'll go to California. We got the hint now we may get an insurance company out of California. We'll see. We've got the Limited, and of course, the Ohio State University. In Dayton, Teradata, LexisNexis. Oh, I'll give you another underutilized resource. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We ought to put an enterprise zone right outside the gate. We've got 4 or 5 of the best laboratories in the country, and we have not used it. And I have talked to the congressional delegation on a bipartisan basis of leaving no stone unturned. Nanotechnology, advanced energy technology, advanced aeronautics, the home of the Wright brothers. Dayton's going to be great again, isn't it, John Husted? It's going to be great again. And in Cincinnati, Procter & Gamble, greatest consumer company in the world. Greatest consumer company there is, Cintas. Oh, they turned going from cleaning rags to making a uniform to be operating all over the world. AK Steel, the little company that will always says, I can, and I will. Western and Southern, Fifth Third, and the University of Cincinnati, that has too often been disregarded. It is one of the schools of excellence in our state and in our country. In southeastern Ohio, Kenworth Trucking, I went down there. I said, what are you doing here? They said, great workers, low costs, great success, great profits. How about the USEC plant in Piketon? Well, we're working with everybody to make sure that happens. I almost tackled the President's Chief of Staff the other night in the White House. Told him we want that loan guarantee. Just don't give it to the French. Don't give stuff to the French that you won't give to Americans. Now, down there at that USEC plant, they spin centrifuges. And the spinning of those centrifuges can allow us to enter the international market in uranium. We are losing that market. We are behind, and other countries are getting ahead. Piketon is the way back. And if we focus on this on a bipartisan basis, we will get there. Let me also say to those in these areas where we have been underdeveloped, Marcellus and Utica Shale, it could transform Ohio. I don't want to be saying it's going to happen because we've not had enough testing to this point. But I'll tell you, the people who are the smart business people are investing like you cannot believe. If our Marcellus and Utica Shale, being aware, my team, the EPA director, Scott Nally, David Mustine, these two guys working together with Jim Zeringer in agriculture, put together a program that will ensure environmental security, that will make sure that people who are the landholders and the leaseholders are treated fairly, a comprehensive plan, which many of you will be involved with. It can give us an exploration industry. It can give us companies that want to locate in areas of low energy costs. It can give us the ability to think about building a refinery down there on the Ohio River. When people have said no, they will say yes. The possibility and the potential for the creation of small businesses, and in the Mahoning Valley and in Steubenville, these are people who know how to do things with their hands. God made them, gave them the gift of building with their hands, and we can build pumps and pipes and widgets. Say your prayers that we will have those findings down, and we'll manage it, and we must do it together. Finally, agriculture. Always ignored. Always the wagon tail. I'm not sleeping in the barn. Let's just get that straight right now, okay? But what I will tell you, and I'm not wearing that silly hat that Voinovich wore either, okay? But here's what I will tell you. I've asked Jim Zeringer to think about agriculture in a completely different way. How many agribusinesses can we get? How many 21st century products can we develop? And how do we think about ethanol when we have increasing dependence on countries like Libya and Venezuela to provide us our fuel? So we're thinking about agriculture in an entirely different way. It can bring great prosperity. And here's the thing about agriculture. It's not your old man's tractor anymore. It's technology. It's GPS. It's weather patterns. You're your own boss, and you fall in love with the good earth. There's something about it that's soulful and spiritual. And we need to recognize our farmers for the great work they have done, and it can allow us to touch the rest of the world through the ability to export and find new markets. Folks, we need to take these assets and we have to leverage them. You need to think about what we do with our community colleges, our technical schools, and universities to work in conjunction with businesses so the students and the workers are trained for the jobs that need to be filled today and the jobs that will be there tomorrow. In Youngstown, we have a free trade zone. They're at the airport. Let's stop talking and let's start doing. Okay, let's stop talking and let's start pushing. Because if we push and we work together, we're going to save the state, I have no doubt. The state of the state and the future of Ohio is in our hands. You were elected to do this, not to have fear of who's going to yell at me or vote against me. I mean, come on. Remember what Churchill said. You only die once in war. In politics, you can die 100 deaths. I've used up 80. Don't let fear clog your mind or have you wring your hands. We're going to meet these challenges for this century, but it does require strength, determination, and a lot of change. None of us like change. I mean, as I get older, I like it less. Just give me the old Haagen-Dazs chocolate every day, okay? But here's what I know. Change is the engine of growth. Change is the engine of renewal. Change is the engine of progress. Change is about renewing the human spirit. Folks, one of the hardest things for me was to come to this legislature and at times experience a lot of partisanship. Comes from both sides, okay? The whole country is kind of tired of it. Hey, it's okay to fight and disagree. I respect you when you fight with me every day. But we got to get up every day and say, is there a couple things we can do together? Is there just a couple things that we can do to make things a little bit better for the families and the kids? That's all I ask, okay? That's all that I ask. And you know what I said at the end of my inaugural address is that it's exciting to be part of a movement that answers the bell that can strengthen our state. But here was, I thought, the most important thing. We're not Republicans. We're not Democrats. We are not liberals. And we are not conservatives. We are Ohioans. And together, we will climb the mountain and make Ohio great. Thank you all very much. God bless America and God bless Ohio.